Everybody, welcome to OFFTHEHOOK Outdoors. I am Ted, your host. We're doing a What's Happening YouTube segment tonight. Going vertical with you guys today. Talking about, obviously you saw the thumbnail. We're talking about where the heck are all the bucks at, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my hunting trip this weekend. Be heading down to camp tomorrow. So I'm going to wait till some people start getting in here. I'm watching my buddy Josh on TV from Whitetail Driven Solutions. We had a really good live yesterday. If you guys haven't seen that, it was about the thermals. Let me move this a little bit like that. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about thermals with Josh from Whitetail Driven Solutions. Really good, informative live. So if you guys haven't checked that out, go over and check that out. And I did premiere Theo and I our second weekend at camp. What's up, Kevin? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. So we're just gonna hang out here a little bit and talk about what's been going on at camp. I've been I hunted camp a lot this year. I usually don't hunt it a lot. I like to prepare it with the food plots, with my food plot videos and all that stuff, and get it ready for my dad and Theo. Usually, one of those would have been tagged out already with a buck. But yeah, we haven't seen a buck and rifle. Now Theo had a great hunting season down there. I could have shot a deer down there. I passed up a couple deer. Theo had shot 2 8-points down there as well, and one he nicked and didn't get, and the other one, I swear that deer is expired somewhere. I think he's on the property somewhere. I couldn't find him. We had some dog trackers down there. Really nice deer for Theo. So it is what it is, and I think about it all the time. So that's where we're at. Indiana Chris, what up, buddy? I got your Charleston Chew message, so I might be ordering a case of those. Those are mixed Charleston Chews just to have them. So, but we're talking about my hunting trip this weekend, what's going on, and we're talking about, and you saw the thumbnail, Chris, where the buck's at right now. And if you haven't watched the live from yesterday with Josh, it was about thermals. There's some really good information on there, so you're gonna want to go and send the hundreds. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Cruiser Bruiser. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. I don't know what the 100 stuff is. Like, I don't know what all that is. I know it's a gift, but thank you very much. I appreciate you for sure. Thank you for coming in. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit. I watched part of the live last night. Yeah, Chris, and like I said, I don't expect you to sit there. We went for 2 hours, and Josh and I can go for hours and hours and hours. But I tried to at least, when we're talking about a topic, it's usually about a 2-hour live. A lot of people say, oh, an hour, but I don't have enough time in an hour. Thank you very much, Cruiser. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. That's awesome. It's like $1, I think, each. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, man. You're the first one to ever do that, so I appreciate that. Phil, what's up, Phil? Thank you for coming in. We got some cool people. We got what's up on the hunt. Thank you for coming in. Sorry, I couldn't see it. My eyes are going bad. I'm getting old. So yeah, so we were great live last night. Very informative. Josh's book of knowledge. Josh and I are friends. We've been friends for about 3 years. We met on YouTube a couple years ago. He's helped me with my land with some pointers. Nothing wrong with that. He's, like I said, that's his profession. So it's nice to have somebody, you can call on the phone and ask if you have any questions or anything. I'm learning a lot on my own and from Josh. I'm really getting into the food plots and land management myself. It is just funny because I don't have a business or anything, but I have people calling me and asking me if I would come up and show them what to do to get some deer on their property. So I have a couple guys at work, and so I'm going to do that in the spring. I'm going to get up there and maybe help them out a little bit. And you never know, maybe later on in life I do a little bit of consulting, but I got to get better myself. You know what I mean? And I don't want to go out there and throw any bull crap out there for people. But I have a good idea of how to get something started and what you need to do. So we're just trying to get some friends started up, getting some deer on their property. They don't have any food or anything like that. So we're going to do that. We're going to touch on that a little bit. My buddy Chris from City Sticker Chris, obviously, got a big 8 showing up. And you can see the thumbnail. I have all those bucks the first week of December. There were some before the snow and some after the snow down there, and I was like, yes, we're good to go. But I didn't hunt it. I went down last Friday, and I dumped out some corn and some mineral, and I took my old cameras out because I put a Tacticam up. I just bought a Tacticam not too long ago. Let's see what that says. This message is for review. Potentially inappropriate messages are held. Got it. What was the view message? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, hide that stupid stuff. So dumped out some stuff, and I had some really nice pictures. I was really excited about it, and I was, thinking, okay, it's that time. I'm gonna start getting bucks on my camera, hitting the food, because that late season. Come on, dude, Crimson Core. You gotta hide them. You hate to do that. You hate to do that, but somebody could whack him too. It's just stupid for people to do that. But whatever. No, I'm not gay. I'm married. But anyway, it don't matter if you are or not. That's the thing. It don't matter. Um. So anyway, I had a lot of bucks, and the thumbnail has some pictures of the bucks that I have. I still have that chip, that camera card, the SD card. I'll probably be doing a live and going through that soon. And I kept that because I wanted you to see the bucks that are down there. And I have some shooters. I have some shooters, man, down there that are awesome. I got the Kicker 10 down there still. But they showed up like that first week of December, like first, second, third, and I was down there the 5th to dump my stuff out and everything. And so, yeah, I was excited to put the Tacticam up and get pictures of bucks, you know what I mean? And so Friday, I put my Tacticam up, which is really nice. The camera is awesome. If anybody hasn't used a Tacticam, and this is my first real time using a cell cam. I have a bunch of cell cams I'm going to be giving away from other companies when I do my giveaways, when I do my thank you giveaway. But I wanted to go with the company that I knew had a good name and everything, so I went with Tacticam, and I was so glad I did. Their stuff is so easy to navigate through. Um, how long of a drive is that for me? It's about an hour and 15 minutes from to Ohio from my lease, because I have a lease down there. So it's 250 acres, and I lease it with a buddy and his family. I had a bobcat sneak up on me. That's cool. Yeah, bobcats are awesome. I was still spooked. Yeah, it's kind of weird how they can do that, huh? How they can sneak up on you. I was just talking about what was that? I was talking about it to my buddy. Or no, it was actually today at lunchtime at work. I was talking about my cousin. He first started hunting with us in Ohio. We used to hunt a lot of public land down in Ohio. We would stay at like hotels and stuff. And I'm talking 20 years ago. And it was me and my buddy Bob would go down there. And then my cousin wanted to start hunting with us, so we did a little thing, and we're like, yeah, okay, well, you have to be into it, you have to do your own thing. I said, I'll set you up with an area to go to, and then you're on your own with scouting and stuff. Now I had a stand in that area, so I sent him to my stand to sit in my stand, and then he can move wherever he wanted to go from there. And he sat in my stand one day, and he come out and he's like, dude, you ain't gonna believe this. And I said, what's up? He goes, I seen a mountain lion. I'm like, really? He's like, yep. Thank you. And I had a road rage incident today. Yeah, that's not good. No road rage. So he come on and he's like, you ain't gonna believe me. I seen a mountain lion. He walked within 10, 15 yards of him, looked up at him and kept walking. And he said he didn't even hear him coming. And he said it was like surreal. Like he thought he was dreaming it. And so we called the Ohio Wildlife Valley, and asked them, and they said, yeah, there's sightings of mountain lions. And then we were talking about like, hey, can we take our guns in? Because I've been going down there and walking in the dark for years, not thinking about that. And then once you get a sighting of that, it has you thinking, because those mountain lions will jump out on you and you're done no matter what, especially with a bow in your hand. There ain't nothing you can do. So we were asking, hey, can we take a sidearm in with us and everything? And you can. So we started doing that and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we just talked about that today. What's up, Steve? Thank you for coming in, Steve. Appreciate you. Yeah, for sure, Ray. Thanks for coming in, buddy. I appreciate you. Yeah, no doubt he was with you this hunting season for sure. It lets you know it got you thinking, didn't it? Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for sharing it out. So there's bucks showing up down Ohio, but my problem is since we started deer hunting or gun hunting at my camp, we haven't seen a racked buck to get a shot at, even for Theo, like the 5 point, the high five, the 7, the wide 8, the big 10 that was shot high in the shoulder. Like he was shot in archery season, but he was coming by like that Halloween week. But all the bucks were gone. We're seeing small young fawns and some small doe and little spikes and 3 points. That's all we're seeing. So, talking to Josh last night, and the reason why I think we're not seeing them is because on the one property to our right, they are a boar's head on the wall. Is that a boar head? No, that's a deer head behind me. I have a boar downstairs. That's one of my deer that I got. Buck. But so Josh was talking about it, and we were talking about this a little bit before the live yesterday. And he's like, the browse. He goes, if they're cutting all the woods down to the right of you, because I think it's a bunch of Amish that bought that land and they're making it into cattle fields. So they're dropping trees left and right over there. And when you drive down the road to my place, all when you're coming in, all to the right of it used to be all woods. Now it's all just briar patches and thick stuff. And he thinks that this time of year, with the browse being 70% of the diet in that area, that them bucks moved off our property and went to that new growth and new browse, and they're eating over there. So, and I agree. I mean, because we had deer there like the couple weeks before Halloween with our food plots, but food plots are not king right now. It's the browse, the woody browse. And I learned that the browse for a deer is no less than 50%. In some areas, it gets up to 80, 90%, like in the Michigan area and stuff like that. All right, Ray, no problem, buddy. Good night, bud. Thank you. And so that's good to know. And I know the woods behind my dad, we can see almost all the way down to the food plot at this time. We have a big clover plot down behind us, which we call our main plot or our destination plot. And we are starting to frost seed clover in there. We just did it like for a year, and there's clover in it, but it ain't real high. We had the drought, so it got stunted, and it's still green. And then we had to plant some rye in there because the clover didn't take real great. But I'm going to start every year. I'm going to be frost seeding the clover in there and just letting it grow. It's easy and it's cheap. Just buying the seed and making a couple passes and seeding it. You lose a lot of seed that way, but it's an easy way to grow clover. And we want the destination plot to be clover because we don't have any food plots that we use in the summertime. And we don't go down there a lot because I have my lake house and I'm always fishing at that time of the year. So the summer times down there are pretty much dormant for me. Like I don't go down much. Sometimes I do, but I'll go down in the spring to turkey hunt and stuff. But the clover plots will help throughout the summer to keep deer on the property. But I'm thinking we got to drop some trees behind my dad. I live in Sweetwater, Texas. I work for Size Horse Ranch. I also have my own ranch with 5 horses and 400. Oh, that's awesome, dude. All right, Steve. Thank you for coming in, buddy. I bet you have some big deer down there. It's a mix of Landino, Crimson, Couch. There's a couple different clovers in there, Chris. And I think this year I'm going with the Jinxum clover again, but I'm gonna add some other clovers too, just to get different strains of clover in there and different age groups. Because clover lasts 3 to 5. So I want to keep adding clover every year and different kinds of clover. So one might grow better than the other. You know what I mean? And there's the different age groups, different, this is in there for 2 years. This one's just in there for a year. So you're going to have different growths all year and then different kinds of clovers. and some might take better than others. There's also that white gold or whatever. And that's Chris Brackett's company. I have to look into that because I might be planting that as well. But I'm definitely getting the Jinx and Clover, and I think this year we're going to be selling my Off the Hook blend for the food plots. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be the kale, the purple top turnips, the daikon radish, and the dwarf Essex rape. Now, a lot of people say dwarf Essex rape, that's cheap and all that. It is, and it keeps the cost of it down a little bit, but it's a good filler for like the stuff that don't grow. It'll fill in holes really nice. And the deer down my way love the dwarf Essex rape. I've tried and truly tested it down there where I just bought rape and put it up in my dad's food plot, and it grew and he loved it. But I like to put a little bit of a variety in there. I don't want to keep it one thing. But I do recommend mixes are tough because if you have a mix of different things in a food plot and you want to control the weeds, you got to make sure it's either brassicas or clover. Like, you can't plant clover in with the brassicas and all that because then you can't kill the weeds. Because like an IMOX will kill the brassicas, but it won't kill the clover. So there's different stuff you got to do, and you want to keep the mixes like all brassicas or all clover. I believe that, and I like to do that because if you want to do weed control, you don't want to have 10 different varieties of something growing and then you put a weed killer on there or something and it kills your product that you're trying to grow. That's where we're at with that. Sorry, I got a phone call, guys. I didn't mean to. Let me see something here real quick. I want to try to do the focus thing and do that. Okay, I just wanted to put it on do not disturb right now. It'll still come up though. But anyway, so yeah, you don't want to have. Yes, I've seen monster bucks on my land. Eat off my fields. I have 60 acres of land, all the sections by numbers to separate cattle by numbers and so. Okay, that's very cool, man. Very cool. So yeah, so you don't want to like mixes are good and different varieties are good, but you want to keep them in the same categories. I found that if you want to do any kind of weed control, like the clover plots down there is just clover. Anything else grown in there, we spray what IMOX to kill it, and we just want clover in our destination plot. We only have 100 and some acres down there, so we try to keep the food in the center. And you guys know that from my past videos and stuff like Barry Bever, Bever Bucks. Don't know what that means. 68. No idea what that means. But anyway, so yeah, so I do that down there, and but the Bucks are not showing up right now. And we were down there first weekend for opening day. Beaver Bucks. Okay. We were down there first day that weekend. We seen a bunch of deer. The food plot was covered in deer, all fawns, small does, and small bucks. The second weekend went down there with my son, all small does and small bucks. And so this weekend, my son's not going. It's going to be cold. It's going to be like 17 degrees out. I'm going down, and I usually don't hunt this far with a rifle because I'm not like a rifle hunter. I am a bow hunter or a crossbow or a bow. And but I'm gonna go down there because I like to sit there and learn and see what's going on and what times of the year, so I know what to do next year. So I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna burn the Saturday. Have you ever went down on? You're an idiot. Thanks, thank you. Just whack them. People are goofy. That's why these verticals sometimes are a pain in the butt. And I know you guys don't like verticals too much. You like the horizontals, and I do most of them in horizontal for you guys. But tonight I just did it quickly, and I went up vertical just to get this out there and let people see it and stuff like that. Plus, I'm just sitting here till I got to get my son from basketball practice, so I wanted to go live for like an hour or so. So Josh was talking to me yesterday about the browse. We got to get some browse down, but you know the way Josh's system is too. I'm afraid of cutting the trees down behind us and creating a doe bed area behind us because you got to have areas where deer don't want to be, so you can access your stands. And it's kind of like it's very hard to understand, but I'm starting to get it, and I'm starting to look at my property down there and hey, what's up? Anime poop. What's up? I have a rampage crossbow. Okay. Yeah, I have a 10 point. But the I'm learning the property more and more. And you know, it's difficult to grasp it all at once. So I don't expect anybody to learn it in like a year, and so I'm doing little things down there. I'm getting the guys involved down there more with setting it up for deer hunting. Like forestry is different. If you want to make money off your trees, you're managing your property totally different than deer hunting. You know what I mean? And it's hard to do both. So we're trying, but you have some members that are like, oh, we need the money for the trees, but we're gonna look into maybe logging that section out and then creating some food. But I'm worried about bringing that browse down. We want to do that, so we may try other areas. Now I know where the doe bedding areas are, and where Josh was saying about the buck bedding areas. And just from being down there in the stand in October and watching the deer where they're coming from and where they're going, I know it's true, like how they're working the area. 2 more days, yeah. So, um, what's up, PA? Thanks for coming in, buddy. And so, me going down there to tomorrow, so I'm gonna go down tomorrow evening, and I'm gonna get ready, and then I'm gonna just go up Saturday morning. I'm gonna sit all day in the stand, but it's really like a learning process too. I'm not expecting to shoot anything, but then again, it's last day. There might be people driving the properties around me. They might kick a buck up through the property to me. There might be some deer on our property that want to eat that food plot. I'm going to probably see small deer. I know that, but there's always a chance of getting one of those bucks to come back. But Josh thinks that they're over on that other property browsing, because this is the time of the year where the browse is king. What's up from? What's up, man? Thank you for coming in, Gary. I appreciate you, buddy. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. So I'm going to go down, and it's basically going to be for me, for my head, and what I need to do for late season. We got them for October, and that pre-rut and everything, and we have the pairs. We are going to buy some pairs this year for the camp. I am bringing that up. We're going to try to get about 10 trees. They're around $35 a tree. So we're going to try to get like 10 trees, um, and do that and spread them out through the property. Thanks, PA. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. So we're gonna try to get some trees down there. We're gonna probably buy. I'm gonna put an order in and try to get them by March or April and plant them this year. We have a few pear trees on our property, on our food plot, that the deer love it, and they have one pear tree that I grew from a stick in my yard on a pot, and then we grew it down there, and it's in the middle of our food plot, and it's like a hub. It's like all the bucks come to their early season and make their scrapes. And if you watch any of my videos this year, you go back to them, you'll see the Big Ten comes in, the eight. We had 2 10s, we had an 8, 7 point, 5 points, 6 points. We had a bunch of deer early in the season using the food plot and really, really hitting it hard. Even though we had like sort of a drought this year and it stunted a lot of stuff. But I think that helped me a little bit. And it's weird to say you didn't want the growth because you want the tonnage for your deer herd. But I was watching Josh Bomar on some of his stuff that he does, and he was saying that he deliberately plants late some of these food plots so they're all young and tender for the deer, because the deer, like, who don't like baby spinach as compared to regular spinach in a salad. You know what I mean? They're younger and sweeter, so they're more palatable. But if you want tonnage for late in the season, you plant it early and you get a tonnage. A lot of people do that, but he had made sense by saying, okay, but I'm on heavily hunted public. Yeah, that's tough. If you want to see how your hunting skills are, definitely go hunt public land, and you'll see. And if you get a buck in that, and you can be successful on public land, you're doing something for sure, because public land is tough. So he made sense with planting late and getting that young tender stuff out there to attract the deer, to make it more palatable. It can attract some deer that like that instead of the woodier greens, you know what I mean? Like the older greens. So that made sense. So that may have helped us this year. It didn't hurt. But we planted the clover field, and we planted over down, like we have a big food plot down behind our property, and we try to keep it all in line in the center of our property. And I'm gonna have to talk to Josh about doing some things with some cover and stuff like that around it. But I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. But like I said, guys, I'm going down there Saturday. I'm gonna sit all day in the stand. It's gonna be cold, but I'll be in the blind. I'll have a heater with me, and I'm going down there mainly to just watch and see what's happening down there late season like that, because I want to turn that around. And if we're not getting the bucks on there and they're browsing somewhere else, then we have to bring that canopy down to the deer to browse, because that late season, that's a very, very high percentage of their diet, not the food plots. You would think the food plots would be, but the woody browse is their diet, and it goes no less than 50% of their diet. In some areas, as it goes up further north, it becomes, 50, 60. Best time to hunt public is 11 a.m. Stay put, don't move, everyone getting up. Yeah, that's true. Red oaks, yeah, we have oak trees down there, but believe it or not, they love acorns, but it's very hard to digest for them. In the winter, that's their diet is the woody browse. And if I don't have I thought we had woody browse on the property, but compared to somebody cutting hundreds or 1,000 acres next to us and all that browse being over there, I could see that those deer moved off of our food plots and went to that browse because it's thick over there. It's all new cut, so they're over there eating. So I got to figure out a way to get them back onto our property, which early season I could say up in the air. Best food will bring bucks and does, and they will stay. Yeah, but this time of the year, though, the food plots aren't their main food source. So you could have 30-inch brassicas all year. You're attracting bucks and everything, and then this time of the year, they go to that woody browse. And if you don't have the browse and that canopy isn't dropped down to the deer's level, they will move off. And I'm seeing that right now on the property because all those thousands of acres. I'm going to say 2,000 acres. That's what I'm going to say over to the right of us, and that's probably way less than what's cut over there. But I'm just saying that for uh, for talking purposes, and they were working on it throughout this season and during rifle season. They were over there cutting. You could hear them way over there cutting and putting a fence in, and I believe they're putting cattle in there. Now, after that's all done and they clear out stuff, that will help. That should bring the deer back over. You know what I mean? That'll keep the deer back onto our property, and that's why this season in the springtime or before like March, we're gonna try cutting some stuff down and getting the deer to eat there next year. Really, so that's what I want to do. So yeah, so that's the plan. So Saturday's going to be like a scouting learning trip, and if a buck happens to show up, I will take that buck. So that's going to happen this year or this weekend. And then that's it until Christmas. And after Christmas, I have Ohio. I am going to make a rocket run, which I call, when I say rocket run, that means me riding down to Ohio after work, dumping out my stuff, checking the camera. Now, what's nice is I don't have to pull cards or anything because I have my Tacticam up now. So it's all on my cell phone. So I don't even got to mess with the cell cam only for batteries. But I'm hoping in the future here, I'm going to have the lithium rechargeables, so it's one big battery pack that you recharge. And I'm going to get like 2 or 3 of those. So I have them on charge all the time. So I can go down, pop that open, put one in, and don't even really touch it too much. And I did mount it about head high, a little higher than head high, about 30 yards away from my food, because I believe those deer are catching on to cameras. And when you have that camera right down at eye level at them, they're seeing that and they're staying away from that area. But even in even in Ohio on my food, I had just does eating it. I got one buck yesterday, my first buck, and it was like after the corn and the food started dwindling down to nothing. I had a buck last night in there, and he looked like this. He had a little scrubby rack. He might have been a little 6 point. That was the only buck I had since all them big bucks that are in my thumbnail have been there that first week of December. And we're thinking that first week of December, they were still walking around trying to rut. Or that was that second rut was kicking in. So making mental notes of that first week of December means that first week of November, because 28 days after the first rut, the second rut kicks in, or the does come back into estrus 28 days after. So I'm thinking that first week of December, those bucks were walking around looking. I think they weren't there for the food. They were there just walking, because I hardly had any food there that first week of December until I dumped again. And then when I dumped it, just does were in there. So you got to figure out the puzzle, guys. There's always a reason for something, and I'm always thinking of what to do and what I can and help. I noticed no footprints in the way back of the fort. I noticed no foot. Yeah, and that's another thing. In the snow and stuff, you can see where the deer are using. And then later in the season, you'll start finding the deer yards. And that's where all the deer are hanging out together, usually in the thermal area. And that's another thing you want to do on camp is I want to put some thermal cover in to keep the deer on there on those cold days. So there's a lot of a lot of work to do down there, but we're gonna just do it little by little because we're on a budget. There's only 10 of us down there, and half the guys don't do the work. Just a few do, like four, 4 or 5. We got some new members that are gonna be active this year, so that'll be good. And getting some stuff done. Some other people had some personal issues that they couldn't even hunt this year, so that all came into play. But I got down there with my dad. My dad watered during the drought with the tractor. He was up there pump spraying water out into his food plot. So that helped a lot. So it takes work, but it also, you got to think about what's going on in your property. You know what I mean? It ain't just go down, put a food plot in anywhere and boom. Now, I did and I don't want to say it's a mistake because we got deer there. But like when I heard Josh talking about the food plus and that, there's always a strategy of what God gives you. Doesn't like God gives you an opening doesn't mean you put a food plot in there. But we've had this where my dad's food plot was. It was all brushy briars, and we cut it down for years, and we tried hand doing food plots in there. So we've been at it for more than 20 years down there with this food plot. But only recently, in like the past 6 or 7 years, had we understanding thermals. I'm still not understanding thermals. Yeah, if you check out the thermal video from yesterday, Gary, I don't know if you did or not. Go into that video that we did last night, that live, and watch that, and you may get a little understanding of the thermals, for sure. Yeah, that's what everybody says, smoking the cigarettes, but it just happened to be that way that day, for real. Like a lot of people think, oh yeah, but a buck will bust you no matter what. But the thermals are bigger than wind, actually, if you think about it, because the thermals is heavier and it pulls your scent. You could have this year I got busted with thermals, but the wind was blowing in my face, and the deer was coming from my left, and the wind was blowing from him to me, and I got busted because of the thermals. If you take milkweed, and I just started using milkweed last year, and if you take milkweed and your wind is in your face, you'd be surprised in the mornings what happens. Your thermals just don't automatically rise in the morning because it's getting warmer out. Some of your coldest part of your days is when the sun is up. And it depends where the sun's hitting the hillside. If you're on a hillside, the shaded areas, if there's a creek, gully, there's a vacuum effect of your thermals. And what I have in mind is I'm on west side, the west side of the hill, so the sun doesn't hit there. So in the mornings, my thermals are dropping still. So this year I was sitting there and I heard a deer. I grunted and rattled, and I heard a deer coming up from the road. Actually, I could hear the leaves and I could hear him walking up to me. I couldn't see him yet because he was in some thick stuff. And I happened to look, and he got to a spot and he busted me. And I was like, "Did he see me? He couldn't have seen me." So I put out the milkweed and I put it out in front of me, and I was thinking the wind's blowing in my face and the thermals are pulling it up. That I was there ain't no way I could be detected. Well, I put the milkweed out, and to my surprise, it went down, and it went right down to where that buck was at. So the thermals were pulling down, but the wind was blowing in my face, and that's how he busted me with my thermal. So there's a lot of that stuff to take in consideration when stand placement and all that. Don't go in and pick your stand first and then do it. Always check what's going on with the wind, your thermals, what they could be, where you're at, and then you pick a tree. Don't pick a tree first and then put it up there, and then you got to wait for a wind or something. Like, figure all that out before you're putting your stand up, for sure. There's a booster and creek. Yeah, and like your creek will draw your scent out. A lake will, a cattle field, you want to blow your scent into that areas when you're hunting. So, but yeah, so I got busted this year with the thermals, and I didn't know why until I checked the thermal. So I recommend not using a puffer like talcum powder or anything, because that will go, but it doesn't give you a great read. It'll give you a direction of the wind, but it really doesn't do nothing for your thermals. Get the milkweed out there and throw it out in front of you, and you'll see that thing switching around and moving around and going in places. Hey, Anti, what's up, buddy? Thank you for coming in. Thank you. That's the second one. Thank you for sharing that, Anti. People are like, what state do you hunt? I hunt Ohio and PA. I'm from PA, but I have a lease in Ohio. So the thermals are a really big deal when you're hunting, believe it or not. And it's more of a big deal more than the wind. And like I said, I found out this year the hard way. There was a buck coming up the hill, and I thought my thermals were pulling up, and the wind was in my face, so I thought I was undetectable. I have my corn pile and my bait pile in Ohio down below me, so I'm like, it's a west wind. We are good to go. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, here comes a deer up the hill. I'm like, all right. And I'm like looking, and all of a sudden, it blew and ran. I'm like, now, how the heck did it bust me? It didn't see me. I didn't move. Yeah, a thermal hub is tough to hunt. I would never hunt a thermal hub for deer, because a deer will go down and check them, but you can't beat a deer in the thermal hub. There ain't no way. You got to get away from that thermal hub. Now, you can look down into the thermal hub and catch them going and coming from there, but the deer will come down and check a thermal hub. And Josh and I were talking about that yesterday. He watched a buck come down into the thermal hub and leave and come back and check and leave again, because they're coming into that thermal hub to check the wind direction to see what's out there. Because believe it or not, a buck can check your whole property if he's walking right. It's crazy how they can do that. They can check the downwind side of a doe bedding area. They can check your property all in one walk. Like, they can tell if you're on there. They can tell if you're not on. I mean, it's amazing what a buck can do. An older buck, especially, will cover more ground and scent check and more ground than you're even aware of. It's unreal. So following contour lines where the buck's going to move, being on the downwind side of that, the leeward side of that. You can hunt it inside, but you never want to cross the trail that they're walking. There's so much stuff that you got to do to really beat that buck, but it's almost impossible to beat a buck's nose. It's just, there's only a few situations you can do it. And thermals is one of them. If you get the thermals on your side and you understand thermals, then you can beat that buck for sure. Thick fog, yeah. Yeah, and you can do that for sure. But a thermal hub, I would never hunt inside a thermal hub. I would always hunt the outskirts of a thermal hub. And finding a thermal hub, if you find one, you do want to have a stand in that area. You just don't want to be in it for sure. But yeah, so figuring out my land it's a learning process. I'm always learning, and believe me, guys, I am into it. I research it. Like you guys see my fishing videos and stuff, and there's that time of the year in May when I stop doing the hunting uh, stuff, and I'm into the fishing of my channel. But hunting is my passion. That's my number one, and I am always researching, thinking, looking up things, trying to figure it out. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I am crazy about it. I love it, and I try to bring you the best footage. I love video and deer. I just love video and deer. So when I'm out there, I might not shoot deer every time I'm out there, but when I'm doing the videos and stuff. But I try to get the best footage that I can, because I love the video deer, and I'm learning when I'm out there. I don't just go out there and watch a doe. I watch the doe, see where the doe came from, what the doe's doing, how they're reacting. That's all going through my head, man. And like a computer, I'm trying to figure it out all the time. And that's what you got to do to become a good hunter. And I'm not saying, and I'm tooting my horn or not. I'm not saying I'm a great hunter or nothing, but you're always learning. And that's how you become a good hunter, is you're always learning. You're willing to learn. Your way doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you got to think out of the box. Box blinds hunt different than a tree stand. Ground hunting is different than tree stand hunting. Saddle hunting is different than blind hunting. I mean, there's all different kinds of things you got to look at. Scouting, you don't want to go in and over scout an area and put your scent down, because if there's a mature buck in there, he probably will leave and not be back for a while. There's so much stuff. What's up, Bloxy? Or, yeah, Bloxy Animations. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, the does will bed close to food. And I found that out too, because we'll get into our stand. It's crazy. And I have videos on it. You can go watch them. We walk, and I don't like our access. So we got to come up with a different way to access. Now, my dad's, the woods behind us are a good access because it's a non-deer area is what we call it. Yes, the deer are the teachers for sure. I don't even talk about that kind of stuff, Bloxy. I don't talk about the political stuff or anything like that. I leave that to the people that want to do that. I don't. I live my life the way I live it with my family, and that's what I'm concerned about. I do look at some news and stuff like that. I have my opinions, but I don't put that on YouTube at all. So I appreciate it if we don't talk about the that kind of political stuff in here. But you can hang around still. Just please, we try to keep it non-political. Um, so keep them clean, keep the comments clean, and all that stuff. So we don't talk about it at all. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to hunting, to become a better hunter and learning. And to be, you want to learn to become a better hunter, and you want to be successful. But I love videoing the deer and bringing the videos. Like I said, my videos, I've had some long ones recently, but there's a lot of deer out there, so I'm videoing and bringing it to you the way it is. I was sitting there for hours and hours on end. I was in Ohio for my rudcation. I have 5 videos coming out on that. I was in my stand 60 hours that week, and I seen my shooter buck for a total of 1 minute. I seen him twice for about 30 seconds. And so 60 hours to 1 minute of seeing my buck. It's crazy. I've seen other bucks, and I passed a bunch of bucks up while I was down there, and you'll see in the videos coming up. But imagine that, sitting 60 hours to see your shooter buck for a total of 1 minute out of those 60 hours. It's crazy to think about that. Now, to up those odds, you look so much like my uncle. Okay. Thanks, I guess. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing here. I am going. I'm always learning. I got some lives out. I try to get Josh involved because he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a book of knowledge. He helps out a lot of people. He has some really good stuff coming out with that DIY program, the DIY Pro program. It's like fishing. Yeah, the moon. I don't go off. Me and my buddy were just talking about this, like the moon thing. We followed that moon thing for years, and there was one time when the red moon was right, I saw a really big buck. But other than that, like these deer times, I'm always saying it. I'm always mentioning in my videos too. If you notice that, I always give you the weather report, and I always give you the deer movement times, the deer forecast, the deer cast, and that has never been right. Like you'll see some small deer in times, but like it's almost like it's a coincidence. But when you have a major and minor time, like I think it works better with fishing because I think the pressures affect the water more than they do the air. So I think that it's more critical in fishing than it is hunting. But the moon thing, to me, I'm starting to get away from the moon thing, and I'm starting to go more with the barometric pressure, and weather trumps everything. That's just my experience. Now, some people hunt the moon. You have people that hunt 200-inch bucks because of the moon. Uh, hey, if it works for you, go with it. But I found that all these majors and minor times, I've seen more deer in minor times than I have major times. I've never shot a deer when I said, okay, the majors from 1 to 2, or one. Usually the majors are 2 hour time period. So I've never shot a buck or my shooter buck in a major time frame. Never. Since I've been using that for years, I've never shot a buck in a major, and it's never worked out to be like, okay, this deer should be coming now, and it works that way. Never. Yes. The barometric pressure is rising. It's usually the bucks are on their feet, and I have a video on that as well. There is a hormone in a deer in their nasal cavity, their sensors in their nasal cavity, and they can't help it. And I can't remember what it's called. It is there's two hormones, and I drew a blank right now. But if you go back to that, I have a video where I'm sitting in my tree stand talking about it, and there is there's receptors in their nasal cavity, and when the barometric pressure rises, it sets a hormone off for a deer that makes them like antsy, like they want to move. So when the barometric pressure is like above 30.2, that's a really good barometric pressure. If it's rising, it's good, but a 30.2 and above is what you really want to hunt. Fronts, post front, pre fronts, there's all that. We can get into all that stuff, but I'm going to give you a little rundown real quick, and then I'm going to be getting off of here. Barometric pressure rises, it sends off the sensor that a deer cannot control in their nasal cavity, and it makes them want to move. So when a barometric pressure is rising, the deer gets antsy and wants to get up out of his bed. And it also it ignites it turns on a hormone, a feeding hormone. And I can't remember the names of both hormones off the bat, but if I go to my video, I'll find it out. But it's a weird name too. And so when the barometric pressure rises, that deer wants to get up and feed. It's a hunger hormone. So that I've been following that this year, and that has worked for me. I haven't shot a deer, but I've seen deer feeding at the times when the barometric pressure is rising. The deer are moving more. When the barometric is steady or lower. Now, if it's moving, it's good. If it's dropping, it's better than it being steady. And then when it's under 30, when it's like 28, 29, it ain't too good. When it's steady and like that, it's not that great. When it's dropping, it's okay. When it's rising, it's the best. Why did the deer move? So the barometric pressure, yeah, it makes them get up and move around. And the sensors in their nose, and I can't remember what the hell is it called? I can't remember. But anyway, there's two hormones that it affects, the barometric pressure, and it's a feeding hormone, and it gets them up and moving. So hunt the barometric pressure. I think you'll see more deer. In that, if you watch the barometric pressure a little more than the moon. I don't go by the moon anymore. The full moon, I shot one deer in a full moon the next day at noon. Down Ohio. It was the full moon. It was like 80 degrees in the afternoon. There was a full moon the day before. I was in my stand. My buddy actually called me at 11:45 and said he's getting down. And I said, I just shot a deer. And he's like, what? I said, I just shot a 10 point. He goes, no, you didn't. I said, yeah, it came down at noon. And it was 80 degrees out, and I shot that deer. So we got him and got him out of there. That's the only time I shot a deer after a full moon. Now I've caught fish and everything different. That's different. That's why I think it's more effective for fishing than it is deer. But people swear by the moon, so I'm not going to say it don't work. I'm not going to say it works. I'm not going to say it don't work. It don't work for me. It might work for you. So I need a coach. Yeah. So that's where that runs into with the deer, with the barometric pressure and stuff like that. So, but the hormone is I can't remember flame it. What the heck is it called? And I'm trying to think for the life of me. And I can't think of it right now, but I mentioned it in one of my videos. Hey, how you doing? Andre Castle. Thanks for coming in. Please hit that like button. So yeah, so that's where we're at with that. But I'm always researching stuff for you guys and for me. I like to share everything with you guys. Like I said, my hunts are the way they are. You don't always get a deer, and I put it out there like that. My last video was 30 minutes. The one before that was an hour, and that's just the way it was. I had that much. I edit a lot. I have 5 videos for my series for my vacation. It's coming out. I still have a November 8th, I think 8th and 9th hunt with my dad. I have to put that out. So I got a bunch of videos coming. Plus, I'm still putting out videos. I have a product review that I have it on getting ready to be published. That is a product review on a heated hunting jacket. I got a heated chair that I got to do, and I just got a pump, a rechargeable tire inflator pump, which is really good to have in your vehicle. I try to do stuff that's related to my channel and what I do, like hunting, camping, fishing, and stuff. So I get products for product reviews that I would use in those situations. I did do lights, and people are like, why'd you do lights? Well, I use lights in my bait lab. So I put the light in my bait lab to use it. So I use the stuff that I'm doing with the product reviews. And some of the reviews that I do give away. I won't give away something that don't work or I don't like. So don't ever think that I'll be giving you something that don't work. I've reviewed it, I've used it, and I will. If I do a giveaway, it works, and I ain't gonna give away a piece of junk, And I've thrown away a ton of trail cameras, a ton of products that didn't work. I've tried them; they worked for a day, and then they quit working. They're in the garbage. And I won't bash a company. Now, some of the trail cameras, I didn't bash them, but I got to give it to you. When I'm telling you it's working and I put it out in the field and then I come up with a problem, I will revisit that video and I will make another video on that product and let you know, hey, I'm having issues with this. And I did that with the TC2, the VU Peak, and I put a video out. It was alive, but I tried to get that out to you like, hey, if you're buying this, watch, this is what's happening to me. So I try to be as honest as I can and give you the best info that I can, and that's my motto in my description of my videos is I'll give you the best information that I can, and I'm not going to lie to you, and it is as it is. It's just the way it is. So that's where we're at with the videos with the product reviews and stuff. So, but I appreciate you guys coming in tonight. I appreciate the donations to the channel. I really do. We're close to 5,000. We're like 5, 9, 12. I think I need 88 more subscribers to hit 5,000 mark. So that's really cool. My goal was to hit that 5,000 by the end of hunting season this year. So I'm hoping that works out. I am happy with my growth. I'm not growing fast. I'm just steadily growing slowly. And that's all I can ask for. I'm happy with that as long as I'm growing. I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys are the reason why I'm doing that. No Kings 8647, Hager Homestead. No Kings. What is your choice of handgun to conceal carry if you do? I like the Springfield XDs. I have an XD40 and an XD9, the slim line. So I prefer the XD Springfields. Rugers, I like Ruger rifles, but the Ruger pistols and stuff are just too bulky for me. I like the XDs, the Springfield models. That's what I like. So thanks for coming in, Evan. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you all for coming in. And like I said, I wouldn't be doing this without you guys. You guys help sort of fuel the fire. I enjoyed this. It's only my second video, first live. Well, thanks, Gary. If you need any help, buddy, reach out to me. Go into my descriptions of my videos and look at my email and shoot me an email if you have any questions or anything. I love helping people out. I've been doing that for years here in the community. You can ask people. I do try to help, and I'll give you my opinions on things and tell you what works for me, what don't work. And I can help you out any way I can. Please, my email is tedpolanowskijr@gmail.com. You can send me an email, ask me any question you want. I'd be happy to help out anytime. So thank you guys for being in here. I really appreciate that. But yeah, it's a 9:15, so I am going to get off of here because I got to go pick up my son from basketball practice. And real quick, we'll just show you real quick here. There's one behind me, one deer. There's another deer there. There's another one there, and then there is another one there. And then there's another one up there behind the TV. And then I have a bunch downstairs. So they're all my babies. And my wife is awesome because she lets me keep them in the living room as long as I keep them nice and clean and respectful when I'm mounting them up there. So all my deer are always looking into the middle of the room, or they're looking at you when you walk in the door. That's just something that I choose to do. They're looking to the center of the room or to the couches where you're sitting, so it looks like the deer's looking at you. And I try to get them mounted the way I shoot them. That's just a preference that I have. Yeah, I have table lamps. I have horns. I have horns there. That was the 10-point I shot at noon right there by that lamp. I got some over there behind the couch as well. So, but that one over there was cool because that was the last year that Ohio used the metal tags. And I always wanted to get a deer with a metal tag. And that 10-point came in at noon the day after the full moon. And I shot that one. That's why I got a little pedestal mount with it. But that's my big one right there from last year in Ohio. That's my PA one right there, that big one. It's like a 17-point. And then I got a few there. And then I have Blade, the one behind me. Got some really nice Blade with brow tine. So, yeah. But that's it, guys. I wanted to thank you guys for coming in. I do verticals every once in a while, and I try to get some new people in here to meet new people and things. I don't do it all the time, but I do the verticals just as like an up close and personal conversation with you guys. So I do that every once in a while. Most of mine are horizontal because that's what my followers like. So I try to do what they like. But every once in a while, I will throw in a vertical here so it can go out to more people, so I can reach more people and hopefully get them. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I do encourage you to please at least browse the channel, check it out. We do hunting, fishing, camping, family vlogs, vacation, cooking, do a little bit of everything. I do some bait making for fishing. I make my own baits. I sell them as well. If you go to OFFTHEHOOKOUTDOORS.us, I have a website. And another announcement I wanted to make real quick before I get off of here. Our American Angler Outdoors Network has revamped the network, and it's called Wild Outdoors TV now. That is in the description. If you go in there and you press it and it's free to join, you can go over and do that. They are in the process of fixing, doing some construction on the site. So check that out in my description. I'm also Backroads Outdoors TV Network on RUKU and Apple TV. I'm on that as well. I have my store, my clothing store, on my description. So I encourage everybody, check out my channel. Subscribe if it interests you. I believe there's something for everybody there. Check it out. Share us out. Hit that like button. Hype our videos now. There's a like and hype button. The hype is supposed to help push it out there. So hit the like and hype videos for us. Share us out to your friends. Encourage people to come over and check it out. And I'm a long form content creator. I do shorts, but it's usually I advertise my videos through my shorts. Unless something cool is out there, I'll put a short out or some funny stuff every once in a while. But I am a long form creator. I really enjoy making videos for you guys. And thank you for watching. My videos, I appreciate that. You're the reason why I do it. And yeah, I really do appreciate each and every one. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. So subscribe, like, and share, and hype, So thank you guys for being in here tonight. And like I always say, take a kid fishing or hunting. We're going to preserve our sport and pass it on to future generations. And we will see ya.